Have you ever felt betrayed by someone you called a friend? What if I told you that there's one simple habit that exposes every fake friend every single time? Stick around, because once you notice it, you'll never be fooled again. The tiny, consistent actions that reveal a friend's true loyalty are often so subtle that many people overlook them. They do not come in the form of grand gestures or dramatic confrontations, but rather in the small, everyday behaviors that, over time, create a clear picture of a person's true character. Loyalty is not something that is declared loudly. It is something that is proven quietly, in moments when no one is watching, in times when it would be easier for someone to act selfishly or ignore your needs. These small actions are like threads woven into the fabric of a relationship, and when observed carefully, they reveal patterns that cannot be faked or maintained under scrutiny. The truth about someone's loyalty is often exposed not during times of joy and celebration, when everyone is friendly and cooperative, but during times of difficulty, disappointment, or vulnerability, when a person is faced with a choice between supporting you or serving their own interests. A friend who consistently shows up, who remembers the little details that matter to you, who checks in without an obvious agenda, who listens without judgment, is displaying behaviors that indicate genuine care and loyalty. Conversely, the absence of these behaviors, the neglect of small responsibilities, or the disregard for your feelings signals a lack of commitment to the friendship. These tiny actions are like signals, subtle but powerful, that accumulate over time. They may appear insignificant on their own, but together they create a clear pattern that can no longer be ignored. Imagine someone who repeatedly cancels plans at the last minute, ignores your calls or messages when you are struggling, or only reaches out when they need something from you. These are small, consistent actions that reveal their priorities and expose whether they truly value your presence and support in their life. Loyalty is measured not by the promises made in moments of convenience, but by the actions taken when it would be easier to look away or act selfishly. Every interaction, no matter how brief, carries the potential to reveal this truth. A friend who makes the effort to remember your birthday, to celebrate your successes, to check in when you are going through a hard time, is demonstrating loyalty through behavior, not just words. The pattern becomes undeniable when these actions are repeated consistently over time. There is also a psychological element at play. Humans are creatures of habit, and their patterns of behavior tend to reveal their priorities and intentions. When a friend consistently behaves in a certain way, it is a reflection of their true values and the depth of their commitment to the relationship. Conversely, inconsistent behavior, where someone is attentive one moment and indifferent the next, indicates that the relationship may not be as important to them as it is to you. Paying attention to these tiny, repeated actions requires a level of mindfulness and observation. It requires you to step back from the emotional highs and lows of a relationship and objectively assess how someone behaves when no one is looking, when there are no incentives or social pressures, when the stakes are simply about your well-being and the bond you share. This is where many people make mistakes. They are swayed by charm, flattery, or occasional gestures of kindness and fail to see the consistent patterns that reveal the underlying truth. Recognizing these actions is not about becoming suspicious or cynical. It is about cultivating awareness and discernment. It is about understanding that the quality of a friendship is measured not in dramatic declarations or sporadic attention, but in the consistency of care and support over time. Another aspect of these tiny actions is the way they manifest in communication. A loyal friend communicates not just when convenient, but also when it is necessary. They offer encouragement, honesty, and guidance, even when it is uncomfortable. They do not disappear in moments of conflict or stress. Instead, they navigate difficult conversations with respect and empathy, demonstrating that their loyalty is steadfast, not conditional. The accumulation of these small actions creates trust, the foundation of any meaningful friendship. Trust is not built overnight. It is the result of repeated, consistent behaviors that show reliability and integrity. When someone repeatedly acts in ways that honor your feelings, respect your boundaries, and prioritize your well-being, they are demonstrating loyalty in its purest form. On the other hand, a friend who fails to act consistently in these ways reveals their true priorities. The absence of support, the neglect of small but meaningful actions, the tendency to put their own needs above yours, all these behaviors signal a lack of genuine commitment to the friendship. Over time, these patterns become clear and undeniable, exposing the friend for who they truly are. It is important to note that these tiny, consistent actions are not always overt or dramatic. They are often quiet, unassuming gestures, a message to ask how you are feeling after a difficult day, a small act of kindness without expectation of recognition, remembering details that matter to you, offering help when it is needed without hesitation. These actions, repeated over weeks, months, and years, speak louder than any verbal affirmation or promise ever could. Furthermore, these consistent behaviors reveal more than just loyalty. They also reflect respect, empathy, and emotional intelligence. A friend who pays attention to these details, who acts thoughtfully and consistently, demonstrates an understanding of the nuances of human relationships and a commitment to nurturing them. Conversely, the lack of these behaviors reveals a lack of empathy and awareness, and ultimately a lack of investment in maintaining a healthy, meaningful connection. It is also crucial to consider the context in which these actions occur. Loyalty is most clearly revealed under pressure, when circumstances are challenging or inconvenient. A friend who stands by you in times of adversity, who offers support when it is difficult or costly to do so, is showing the depth of their loyalty. Conversely, someone who disappears or becomes indifferent during these moments exposes their true nature. By observing these patterns, you can discern who genuinely cares for you and who is simply present when it benefits them. Recognizing these tiny, consistent actions allows you to make informed decisions about the people you allow into your inner circle. It empowers you to protect your emotional well-being and invest your energy in relationships that are reciprocal and supportive. It also teaches you to value actions over words, to trust patterns rather than promises, and to seek authenticity in those around you. These behaviors, small as they may seem, are the true markers of loyalty, and they provide a clear roadmap for identifying friends who are genuine versus those who are not. Over time, by paying attention to these patterns, you develop an intuitive understanding of human behavior, a sense of who can be trusted and who cannot. This awareness is invaluable as it enables you to navigate your social world with confidence and clarity, avoiding unnecessary disappointment and heartbreak. The accumulation of these small actions, the way they repeat and reinforce one another, builds a comprehensive picture of a person's character. It becomes impossible to ignore the truth once these patterns are observed consistently. The habit of noticing and interpreting these tiny actions becomes a skill, a tool for self-preservation and growth. In essence, the seemingly insignificant behaviors, the little gestures, the quiet consistency are not insignificant at all. They are the ultimate indicators of loyalty and authenticity in friendship. They expose who truly values you and who does not, often before words or dramatic events ever could, providing clarity and insight that is both profound and practical. How observing this one habit can protect your emotional energy and relationships is something most people overlook, yet it is one of the most powerful tools you can have in life. Every day, we encounter people who demand our time, attention, and care, sometimes in ways that drain us rather than uplift us. Fake friends, those who are not invested in our well-being, often appear charming, supportive, or present when convenient, but their actions slowly chip away at our emotional reserves. Recognizing the habit that exposes them allows us to draw boundaries before the damage accumulates, to preserve our mental peace, and to focus our energy on those who truly value and respect us. Observing this habit is not about paranoia or suspicion. It is about awareness and clarity. It is about noticing the patterns that consistently appear in someone's behavior, the tiny moments that reveal whether they're truly loyal or simply pretending. When you learn to watch for this habit, you start to see relationships for what they really are rather than what you wish them to be. You begin to recognize the subtle signs of inconsistency, neglect, or opportunism that would otherwise go unnoticed. Protecting your emotional energy is crucial because it is finite. Every interaction with a fake friend, no matter how brief, consumes a portion of your attention, your trust, and your emotional resources. When you can identify the habit that exposes them, you can choose to disengage, to redirect your focus toward people who reciprocate your care and invest in your well-being. This habit acts as a filter, a lens through which you can assess who deserves a place in your life. Furthermore, observing this habit strengthens your self-respect and personal boundaries. It teaches you that you do not have to tolerate neglect, disrespect, or manipulation simply because someone calls themselves a friend. By paying attention to their actions and not just their words, you claim the right to prioritize your emotional health and to expect consistency, honesty, and support from those who are truly part of your inner circle. Relationships that are built on authenticity and mutual care flourish, while those that are built on deception, inconsistency, or selfishness wither when examined through the lens of this habit. This awareness also prevents you from falling into cycles of disappointment or resentment. Many people repeatedly give chances to those who do not deserve them because they fail to notice the subtle signals early on. Observing the habit that exposes fake friends allows you to act early, to make decisions based on patterns rather than hope or assumption. It helps you avoid the pain of investing in relationships that are inherently unbalanced. The impact of this habit extends beyond identifying fake friends. It also enhances your emotional intelligence and decision-making skills. By studying behaviors, recognizing patterns, and interpreting subtle cues, you develop a sharper understanding of human nature. You become more discerning, more strategic, and more confident in your choices regarding who to trust and how much energy to invest in different relationships. It also cultivates a sense of empowerment. When you understand the signs of a fake friend, you are no longer at the mercy of their behavior. You can act intentionally, protect your mental space, and choose connections that nourish rather than drain you. Emotional energy is one of the most valuable resources you have, and safeguarding it allows you to invest in meaningful relationships, personal growth, and your overall well-being. Additionally, observing this habit teaches you patience and observation skills. It requires you to step back, watch carefully, and not rush to conclusions based on isolated incidents. Loyalty and authenticity are revealed over time in the consistency of small actions, and learning to notice this builds a sense of clarity and wisdom. This habit also encourages self-reflection. As you become more aware of how fake friends operate, you start to evaluate your own actions and patterns in relationships. You ask yourself whether you are giving more than you are receiving, whether you are truly investing in people who value you, and whether your energy is being directed toward connections that support your growth and happiness. Protecting your emotional energy through this habit also reduces stress and anxiety. Fake friends create uncertainty and emotional turmoil, often leaving you questioning yourself or doubting your judgment. By identifying them early, you reduce these stressors, maintain your peace of mind, and focus on relationships that bring joy, support, and mutual respect. Observing this habit is ultimately about empowerment, clarity, and preservation. It allows you to build a social circle that is authentic, supportive, and fulfilling, while avoiding the pitfalls of misplaced trust, emotional drain, and disappointment. It gives you the tools to navigate the complexities of human relationships with insight and confidence, ensuring that your energy is spent wisely and your emotional well-being remains intact. Over time, this practice becomes second nature. You instinctively recognize behaviors that signal loyalty versus deceit, consistency versus self-interest, and authenticity versus pretense. You no longer have to guess or hope. The habit of observation gives you the clarity to act decisively, maintain your boundaries, and cultivate a life surrounded by genuine, caring people. This habit, simple yet profound, is a shield and a guide, allowing you to protect yourself, invest wisely in relationships, and experience deeper, more meaningful connections.